Good day, everyone. And today we are diving into something that has sent shockwaves across the Nigerian political landscape. A statement that has everybody talking, debating, and frankly, taking sides. The African Democratic Congress, better known as ADC, has come out with a very bold declaration. And when I say bold, I mean the kind of statement that makes you sit up in your chair and pay attention. They have publicly stated that removing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from office in the 2027 elections is the only way to save Nigeria from what they describe as continued economic hardship and governance failures. Now, this is not just casual political banter or some offhand comment made in passing. This is a deliberate, calculated statement from a political party that clearly believes the current administration has lost its way. And they are not mincing words about it. The ADC, through its National Publicity Secretary, made it abundantly clear that Nigerians are suffering under policies that have, in their view, only worsened the economic situation rather than improved it. They pointed to the removal of fuel subsidies, the floating of the naira, and various other economic reforms that were supposed to stabilize the economy, but have instead, according to them, pushed more Nigerians into poverty. The party argues that these policies, while perhaps well-intentioned on paper, have been poorly executed and have left ordinary citizens grappling with skyrocketing inflation, increased transportation costs, and a general decline in purchasing power. When you go to the market today, you know exactly what they are talking about. The price of rice, beans, tomatoes, everything has gone through the roof, and salaries have not kept pace with these increases. People are genuinely struggling, and the ADC is tapping into this frustration, this anger, this sense that things could and should be better. What makes this statement particularly interesting is the timing. We are still relatively early in President Tinubu's tenure, but the opposition is already laying the groundwork for the next election cycle. They are not waiting until a few months before 2027 to start campaigning. They are starting now, building their narrative, shaping public opinion, and positioning themselves as the alternative that Nigerians desperately need. The ADC is essentially saying, look, we gave this administration a chance. We watched, we waited, and what we have seen is not good enough. They believe that continuing with the current leadership for a full 8 years would be catastrophic for the nation, and they are calling on Nigerians to make a change while they still can. This is classic opposition politics, but it resonates because many Nigerians are genuinely unhappy with the current state of affairs. Now, let's be fair and balanced here, because that is what good journalism demands. The Tinubu administration would argue that these reforms are necessary growing pains, that you cannot fix decades of economic mismanagement and structural problems overnight, and that the benefits of these policies will become apparent in the medium to long term. They would point to efforts to increase government revenue, reduce wasteful spending, and create a more sustainable economic framework for the future. The government has consistently maintained that the removal of subsidies, while painful in the short term, was essential because the subsidy regime was corrupt, inefficient, and benefiting a select few rather than the masses it was supposed to help. They have also argued that floating the naira was necessary to address the artificial exchange rate system that was creating distortions in the economy and encouraging corruption. These are valid points, and any serious analysis of Nigeria's economic challenges must acknowledge that there are no easy solutions, no magic wands that can be waved to instantly fix everything. However, and this is a significant however, the reality on the ground is what matters most to ordinary Nigerians. It does not matter how sound a policy is in theory if the implementation is causing widespread suffering and there is no clear timeline for when things will be better. People need to eat today, not in 5 years. They need to afford transportation to work today, not in a decade. This is where the disconnect often happens between policymakers and the people they govern. The ADC is capitalizing on this disconnect, and they are doing so very effectively by speaking directly to the pain points that millions of Nigerians are experiencing daily. They are giving voice to the frustrations of market women, commercial drivers, small business owners, students, and families who are finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet. The statement from the ADC also raises broader questions about the state of Nigerian democracy and the role of opposition parties. In a healthy democracy, opposition parties serve as a check on the government, holding them accountable, offering alternative visions, and ensuring that those in power do not become complacent or authoritarian.
The fact that the ADC is speaking out so forcefully is in some ways a positive sign that Nigerian democracy still has some vitality, that there are voices willing to challenge the status quo and demand better governance. However, the question remains whether opposition parties like the ADC have the organizational capacity, the resources, and the grassroots support to actually translate their criticism into electoral success. Nigeria has seen many opposition parties come and go, many bold statements that amount to nothing when election day arrives. The challenge for the ADC and other opposition parties is to move beyond rhetoric and build a credible alternative that Nigerians can believe in and vote for. If you are enjoying this discussion and finding this analysis helpful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss important updates like this. Your support really helps us continue bringing you quality content that keeps you informed about what is happening in Nigeria and beyond. What this entire situation also highlights is the importance of the 2027 elections. Those elections will be crucial in determining Nigeria's trajectory for the next several years. If Nigerians are indeed as dissatisfied as the ADC suggests, then we could see a significant political shift. But if the Tinubu administration manages to turn things around, if they can show tangible improvements in people's lives, if inflation starts to come down, if fuel prices stabilize, if jobs are created, then the narrative could change completely. Politics is dynamic, and what seems certain today can look very different tomorrow. The next few years will be critical, and Nigerians will be watching closely, evaluating, and ultimately deciding whether they believe the current administration deserves another term or whether it is time for change. So what do you think about all of this? Do you agree with the ADC that removing President Tinubu in 2027 is the only way forward, or do you believe the current administration should be given more time to implement their reforms and show results? How are these economic policies affecting you personally, and what would you like to see from both the government and the opposition in the coming years? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because this is a conversation that affects all of us and every voice matters. Let's keep this discussion respectful, informed, and focused on finding solutions that will genuinely move Nigeria forward. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep demanding better from those who seek to lead us.